Welcome everyone to Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show on Rumble.com.
The clock strikes 8, the morning light is dim, another day begins, the choice is looking grim. But don't despair, don't you start to pout, there's one place on the dial where they sort it all out. The theme song hums, the kettle's on the boil. It's time to trade the silence for a little morning toil. Sip that strong black cup and find a comfy chair, 'cause Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show is back on the air. Oh, we're sipping strong coffee and the mood is terse, talking about the daily affairs of this whole universe. From the headline screaming to the whispering wind, there's no topic too twisted, no thread left unspun. We'll open up the Bible for a little golden truth, then pivot to the shadows of our conspiratorial youth. It's Grumpy's Coffee Talk, where the facts might get blurred, but you'll always leave informed, or at least kind of stirred.
Well, take 3. Most of y'all won't understand that, but the back room will. Anyway, now if you don't leave here, it says you might leave here kind of stirred. Well, sometimes I'm thinking that, we're going to hit a topic on occasion. Sometimes you might leave here a little more disturbed than, than anything else. You never know. What can I say? Anyway, this is Grump. Welcome to Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show, where we are sipping strong coffee provided by our sponsor, Honeybee Cigars. The thing about it is, well, we ain't spilling none of this coffee. It's good. See, we spilling tea in here in the Coffee Talk Show. We like to spill that tea, 'cause we know y'all like to hear about things going on. So we like to try to keep y'all up with what's going on and try to do it from a neutral view. I do like to do that. I do want to say good morning too to my ride or die brothers, Cigar Loons, over there at the Cigar Loons podcast. Yeah, catch them live. Or the banner go across there to tell you about them. But anyway, we're gonna get into the being February 23rd, 2026. That way we'll know where we're at. Not that it matters, but it's Monday morning, and it's been kind of a weekend, somewhat. Not, of course, the Olympics winding up, stuff like that. A lot of people were more busy with watching the Olympics. They were more people were at the Roman circus than they were paying attention to the news. So we'll go over a few things that happened over the weekend, Yeah. Sports and news all together at once. Anyway, this past weekend, starting there, coming into it, it was like rapid fire series of legal economic maneuvers and things that have sent ripples throughout global markets, and landmark Supreme Court rulings on executive power. There's been all kinds of crazy go on the last couple of days, and we're gonna jump up here and take a look at it. I mean, there's not a whole lot we're gonna do to change any of it, but we're gonna take a look at it while they've had us focused on the Olympics all this last couple of weeks, uh, we've been trying to talk to you about things going on other than same as today. Yeah, we wound up with a couple more goals, and it was supposed to be our most dominant Olympics since I can't remember when. But I guess we had to have something to brag about. Uh, I guess we had to have something to like show our world dominance because it ain't happening with the space program at the moment. Matter of fact, they've got that yeah, they've got that trip on hold if y'all in case y'all hadn't heard about that. Where we're gonna have man on the moon and in low orbit all together at the same time. Imagine that. But now it's on hold. Hey, come on, Paw Patrol, chill. You know who that is shuffling around the house? That shuffle is familiar. You should know. Anyway, uh, where was I at? Oh yeah. Uh, White House. The landscape of the American trade policy shifted in the last 48 hours. Uh, in today's episode, we're looking at the tariff seesaw between the High Court and the Oval Office. We're checking in on the religious world. We check in on them, see what's going on with them. It's the season of Lent, and we're looking at major security developments in Mexico that have unfolded as recently as yesterday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. But that's the things that we're going to take a look at right here. It is. Um, other than to tell you to like put your seatbelt on. I'm not real sure, but any of this come as a great surprise to you or not? Um, a lot of people that follow me know that what I think about a lot of this. The government games and the different things of that nature, and just like now, everybody's like, well, it's a movie playing out. Everything's been settled and this and that. Well, okay, let's roll the credits and let's get on with that life that's supposed to be coming. You know, 68 years here like this. I'm ready. Let's see something. Let's see something different. Let's see somebody actually doing what they're talking about doing. You know. Anyway, again, it's Monday, February 23rd already. Can you believe it? It just seems like I started this little adventure yesterday. You know, but it, it it's already 2 months, almost gone. Yeah, yeah. Who would have thought? You know, who would have thought that we would still be here after 2 months? But here we are, and I appreciate all y'all. Keep me here, grow me, like me, pass me around. You know, so don't tell me we done it again.
No, I didn't think we'd still be here.
Oh,
I didn't think you'd still be here after 2 months doing this, my brother. Okay, now I thought maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe not a fucking 2 months.
here we are, 2 months later, and we're still cracking jokes. Anyway, now y'all know that. Now y'all know where the back room, who's back there, and where all them sounds come from, and the impromptu interruptions that we love so much. But that's why we do. You see, we don't do things scripted here. We believe you need to get it just as straight up natural as you can, man. We don't do the filter things. We don't do the professional studio things. We don't do anything like any of these gurus suggest you do it. you know? And maybe that's why we're still here 2 months later. And then y'all are saying 2 months, what kind of accomplishment is that? If you knew us, you would understand. We're good with what we're doing, and you're living our best life, man. We're having fun with it, and yeah, 2 months into this piece of it. But see, what you don't understand is that other podcast I told you about in the beginning. We just started into our third year with that one. So it ain't like we don't know what we're doing. We really don't. But the one thing we do know is how to stay original, how to stay real, and how to have fun with it. And that's what we're going to keep doing. And yes, 2 months in, and we're still here, and you know, and I'm grateful to every one of you out there making it happen. Now that you've thrown me totally off course, uh, let's get back to what the weekend. Yeah, off course ramble there. You might get one of those once in a while. Just roll with it, stay in your lane. It don't last long. Yeah, don't. Okay, let's start with the story that dominated the weekend. It was the fate of the Trump administration's trade policy. Yeah, on Friday, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a 6-3 ruling that struck a major blow to the president's use of International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the IEPA, as you'll hear it referred to impose broad global taxes. They said it was unconstitutional, couldn't do that. The court's majority opinion stated that the power to tax lies with Congress and that the IEPA does not grant the president unilateral authority to rewrite trade rules on such a massive scale. Mhm. However, the victory for importers, it was short lived. I mean, seriously, you thought he was gonna take that 6-3 ruling against him and not have a little something in the chamber for you. However, again, it was short lived for all those importers that thought them tariffs was gonna come off. By Saturday morning, the president had responded via social media, trolling the way a troll trolls, calling this decision anti-American. Within hours, he invoked a different, rarely used legal avenue called Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. Now, under this authority, the president has announced a 15% temporary import surcharge on almost all goods entering the U.S. effective tomorrow, Tuesday, February 24th. While this authority is limited to 150 days without congressional approval, the move signals a firm commitment to the tariff strategy despite judicial pushback. Now, I want to mention here, uh, because I was listening, to the live response that where he went on and gave a little live impromptu conference there and was responding to this and he's talking about uh how and you don't won't read this in a lot of other reports news won't say a lot about it either. But in Judge Kavanaugh's dissent letter on this, because he voted against, you know, he was one of the three, let's say. He said in his dissent letter that although it appears that they've, you know, stopped something or prevented something or whatever, that what they've actually done is given him more flexibility, more power, and more opportunities to impose more and higher tariffs through other means. So, see, here's a Supreme Court justice, you know, that voted. He was one of the three that, you know, voted to keep the tariffs like they are instead of, you know, putting this whatever they've done to them, which is in effect nothing. And he outlined in his letter of dissent that you've given the man more avenues and more opportunities, and opened more doors, you know, for even more and higher tariffs. So, you know, that's kind of the gist of what's come out of the weekend with the Trump tariff thing. Where a lot of people thought, oh yeah, they give Trump the big middle finger, you know, SCOTUS turned on him. Well, you know, it does appear that way, but you know, in their own uh zeal to go against him and stop him, I guess, unless of course they knew, going to say now they knew what they were doing. You know, to play out 100 different ways, but either way, the way they did go enabled him and gave him more avenues to accomplish what he's already accomplishing. So, you know, all I can say is, you know, probably stay tuned, you know, for more of the same, you know, down those avenues. Uh, you know, something else that was mentioned over the weekend, the U.S. dollar and the European stocks, they saw immediate fluctuations following this Saturday announcement, you know, that actually, you know, nothing happened except another additional, you know, global tax and everything else that got added on there. Trump said, like, what's this? But yeah, that caused a big fluctuation in the market, the U.S. dollar and the European stocks. Just, you know, for those of you who wouldn't have ever even known that if I hadn't have told you, because like, you know, so many of us are invested in the European stock markets, and you know, and actually the U.S. stock markets for as much as that goes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure this podcast, you know, is one of those that attracts the investment crowd, so to speak. I don't know that. I don't know that they tune their frequencies into things like this, because I'm really not sure what this is. But anyway, a little bit of the international reaction to things going on. You go, oh, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and the French President Emmanuel Macron, they've both signaled a move toward reciprocity, suggesting that the U.S. may face retaliatory measures from the EU. Okie dokie. So the EU is going to retaliate against the U.S. They're going to take our lollipop, or are they going to lick the red off our sucker, or what? I don't know. I don't understand, but you know, some of that business stuff sounds like gibberish to me. But anyway, trade associations are already demanding refunds for the roughly 133 billion in tariffs collected under the now invalidated IEPA rules. But you see, there's a small fly in the ointment when it comes to that $133 billion that's been collected in tariffs. You know what that fly in the ointment is, or can you guess, or do you know? Well, I tell you, when SCOTUS was so busy ruling on all this, well, that the 133 billion in tariffs that have been collected and what to do with it, well, that obviously, slipped somebody's mind because that didn't get discussed. That wasn't part of it. Don't anybody know what's gonna happen with that 133 billion in tariffs because SCOTUS never discussed what was supposed to be done with that money if they've invalidated those tariffs or whatever, invalidated IEPA rules. But anyway, the president insists that all the tariffs are still in place. They are still in effect. And he does confirm that SCOTUS has not discussed what to do with the collected tariffs whatsoever. So they're just going to be sitting right where they're at. You know. And then again, I don't know if he's going to start. I don't know if he's going to start dispersing any of those tariff funds. There's been talk about dispersing those funds among different, in business groups like small business people, and and then some seniors and different programs and different things. There's been a lot of talk, but nobody's been doing a lot of moving on anything. Been a lot of talk though, but I guess we'll just have to see what comes out of all this tariff mess. Uh, right now it's kind of crazy, but we'll just have to see where it goes. Uh, y'all, if you got ideas or thoughts or opinions or whatever, don't feel don't feel free to share them. Don't be bashful. You know, you can comment. It's allowed. I promise. It's allowed. All right. Let's take a quick look. Uh, let's take a quick look at the religious side of life. See what went on, if anything, worth talking about. See who made headlines and whatnot. This past weekend marked the first Sunday of Lent for many Christian denominations around the world. In Vatican City, Pope Leo XIV delivered a message focused on the power of fasting. You don't say. How interesting that the Pope would deliver a message focused on that. In his address, the Pope urged the faithful to use this season not just for personal abstinence, but as a shared journey of conversion. He specifically touched on the importance of welcoming others and calling on parishes to be spaces of respect and harmony amid what he describes as a cold and hard world. Well, Popey, you hit the nail on the head there, my friend. It is definitely a cold and hard world. In the United States, several Catholic archbishops used the weekend's services to launch the Called by Name campaign. This initiative encourages parishioners to identify and support young men who are interested in the priesthood. Now, I know that this is that point in place where I know y'all got jokes, you know, but like I said, I try to keep this as neutral as possible. So, you know, trust me, I've probably heard all the jokes. I've probably heard all the snide comments. But like I said, I lay this stuff out here. You look at it through your lens, with your own eyes, your own common sense, and come to your own conclusion. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to help you learn how to think. Anyway, beyond the pews, we're seeing a rise in Lent social action. From fish fries to community service projects, many religious organizations are focusing their efforts this month on the unhoused and the migrant communities, often framing these efforts as a direct response to the economic anxieties currently felt across the country. And I can understand this. I see this. I mean, uh, it's kind of hard when we're out here living it day to day. We're paying the prices, we're paying the bills, we're putting the food on the table, we're keeping it rolling, and we know what it's costing us to do it. And when you hear the suits in the big house talking about how well we're doing and about how much we're prospering and about our growth and our manufacturing growth, the billions of dollars that have been pumped into the country, the manufacturers that are coming back, to start manufacturing here, uh, all of the tariff money that we've collected, all of the Doge money that was found laying around through corrupt systems and programs. But we're the ones out here paying these prices and not really seeing a great deal of relief. So when does that come? I mean, I think that's one thing that I think that's one thing a lot of people are wondering about when it comes to the economic side of things. Because if there's people out there that are seeing the prices going down, and you're feeling the pressure relief and stuff, from the bills because of all this that's going on, where you at? I'm in the Florida Panhandle. You know, I'm not seeing leaps and bounds of price decreases or anything like that. I mean, we're 260, what, 262, 264 for gas, something like that. Uh, but your meat prices, different stuff like that. Those are still, you know. But like I said, we've got to see some results. If you want to keep people interested and you want to keep people believing that you're actually doing something, um, you know, you got to throw us a bone once in a while. You know, show us something that's going on that's good. I mean, geez. In other news, um, major security operation in Mexico has made some global headlines. Yes, they have. And I'm going to slaughter this, but I'll do my best. On Sunday, the Mexican Defense Ministry confirmed that Nemesio Aseguera Cervantes, the notorious leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel known as El Mincho, was killed during a military operation in the state of Jalisco, or Jalisco, but I say Jalisco. I think the J's an H, but The operation reportedly involved heavy fighting and rocket launchers. Yeah, watch them cartels, man. They got the cartels, they got the cool toys. Following news, waves of violence were reported in several Mexican states as cartel members blocked highways in retaliation. The U.S. reportedly provided complimentary information that assisted in the success of the mission. Complimentary information. Is that what we call it now? Complimentary information. Somebody write that down. We gotta remember that one. Complimentary information that assisted in the success of that mission. Now, I mean, on a lighter note, yes, of course, a lighter note. We go from complimentary information to ending cartels. We go over there to the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics in Italy. Reached their conclusion this weekend. In case y'all didn't know, now your TV scheduling, your interruptions and all, they should be over now. Everything you should be back to your normal programming on your television on whatever channel you decide to choose your program on. Was I clear enough there? That's just a little nod to the conspiracy theorists folks out there. I hear y'all, I see y'all. Just a nod to you.
Shocked.
You shouldn't be. But just a nod to you. Yeah. Oh, they did. They wound them Olympics up, man. They're over with. Closing ceremonies celebrated a high performing year for global athletes, particularly in the freestyle and alpine events, providing a brief moment of unity before the global focus returns to the looming trade tensions of the coming week. Yes, we could all just forget about everything for that brief moment while we were all celebrating our victories in Milan, Italy. Yeah, we could. We had to sound like we were the dominant nation again because, like I said earlier, we got to make up for the fact that, you know, we've had to delay our moon launch. We can't quite go yet. We've had to delay that. So, you know, uh, I don't know what to tell y'all about that one. I mean, I know a lot I can tell y'all about that one, but that wasn't exactly the theme of this, particular episode. But I'm sure it will be in something upcoming in the near future. You know, I'm not going to let them shoot at the moon and me not talk about it because you know, I need to be there to tell you how that's going to end. What happened now?
So on the Olympic table, the
Yeah,
USA came second with 12 golds. They got 12 silver, sorry, and 9 bronze, which was a total of 33 medals won. Norway was first with 18 gold, 12 silver, and 11 bronze at a 41 marker. In
yeah.
England, what a fucking shams, was 5 medals, 3 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. So that's your medal counter. Just thought I'd come in while you were talking about the Olympics with the medal counter.
Not a problem. Not a problem. See, there you go. And like I said earlier, I think it was a thing that we needed to look dominant in the world. And as Gas said, we were like second to Norway, but Norway don't exactly have a space program. No, Norway ain't exactly a competitor, you know, for the space race to get back to the moon. But we certainly had to look dominant over some of the others, Russia, China, a few others. So, we accomplished that, but come in second. Congratulations, Norway, for an excellent Olympics. Uh, Another thing, as we head into this week, uh, all eyes will be on DC tomorrow. Uh, Not only do the 15% tariffs take effect at 12:01 a.m., which is midnight tonight, but the president is also scheduled to deliver the State of the Union address tomorrow night. Now, we can expect a vigorous defense of his trade policies. You're going to hear about they're the biggest, they're the best we've ever had. No other nation has got anything better. Uh, Got one word for you, Donnie. Gaddafi. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. Now y'all start accusing me now. I was just saying, okay. I know y'all gonna accuse me now, but I'm not a part of that club. Not allowed. Sorry. Um, yeah, we expect that vigorous defense of them trade policies. Maybe even a roadmap for how he might intend to work with or around Congress following this Supreme Court ruling. I think he was pretty clear in that live that he gave after or Saturday, whatever it was, when he went on and gave that impromptu press conference, was explaining the different constitutional avenues that he has, and they in fact give him more flexible power and more opportunities to charge more money. So, and the thing about it is, he also said, which you may or may not see, uh, he also said that the way that they're going to have to go now was the original way that was suggested to go. even though it was a slower process that took a few more steps to put in place. But had they gone that way to begin with, well, they were trying to be nice. And the Supreme Court didn't let them be nice. They whacked them. So when they whacked them, they forced them to go in the direction that they were originally going to go to begin with, which wouldn't have even included anything the Supreme Court could have done about it. But see, they played the game. They made you think they wanted to be nice. And they did. They tried to come to you and be nice. And you spat on them and you smacked their hand. So all they did was just go back to the original plan and bypass you anyway. See, they tried to include you, tried to make everybody happy, tried to keep things flowing along, but you had to go step in and slap him on the hand. And now he's just going about it the legal way that he had available in the first place. That don't even have to include you. So you just kind of took yourself out of the game. But there's a few other things that's going on in the news. And I know that the one thing that is obviously missing from the cycle is the whole Tucson episode, the Tucson saga. And I've talked about that, about the Nancy Guthrie abduction. I've talked about that, and I'm like everybody else. I want to see her back home with her family. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't have opinions. That there's part of a political game going on here. And it's my opinion and my opinion only. Ain't nobody else's. Well, I'm sure other people may share my opinion, but what I'm saying is my opinion. But she's an insurance policy. Yep, she's an insurance policy. You'll hear some more breaking news about the 27th, 28th of the month, maybe. Something like that. If you don't really understand why, just check into who's supposed to be appearing before Congress somewhere around the 26th, I think, on the whole file dump. Yeah, see who's scheduled up for those 2 days. And you got to put dots together. But the lady's an insurance policy, in my opinion, and my opinion only. And I've been wrong a lot in my life. But I've also been right on some things when people thought I was totally out there on the clouds. But either way, that is strangely missing from the news cycle.
Just a little bit of breaking news. As reported today, there's Lord Mandelson was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in the public office. So, of course, Peter Mandelson was the ex-US ambassador from England that was involved in, of course, the Epstein files and his involvement to be his friends. So he's been arrested and basically in an unknown police car, arrested in London. The ex-ambassador has been under investigation over allegations he shared market-sensitive government information with Jeffrey Epstein as a government minister here in the UK. And then about Lord Mandelson, also, of course, the opposite party of Conservative, because, of course, Labour is Keir Starmer, where Peter Mandelson was concerned. The Conservative leader says Mandelson's arrest is the defining moment of Keir Starmer's premiership, who has said the Prime Minister is weak and continues, watching the man who he appointed to the highest position in our diplomatic service getting arrested by police is an image which I think is going to stay with us for many, many years to come. Mandelson has not publicly commented on recent weeks on the Epstein files, but the news outlet understands his position is constantly being that he has not acted in any criminal way that was motivated by financial gain. So at the moment, it seems to be a bit of a knock on Keir Starmer as the Prime Minister. There's one of his right-hand man that he appointed has been arrested. And Conservatives here trying to get the jump. So they think they're going to get a vote because, heaven forbid, the Conservative Party never did nothing wrong. Yeah, well, they did.
Exactly.
Having parties in lockdown, having all your Prime Minister there, dancing around, old Bozzy, and he's got all these mates and they're all smoking cigars and dancing when it's COVID, and we're sitting here and can't see our loved ones. Yeah, like the Conservative Party never did nothing wrong. But I just thought I'd give you that little bit of break.
Well, at least you could have stayed around and said bye, but, bite me. Anyway.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Would you go somewhere? Don't you have a closet to go back to? With brooms and dustpans and stuff? I mean, it ain't like I gave you an office of no kind. Anyway. Oh, goodness. All right, folks. That's our wrap on the weekend news update. A few little things that went on while you were busy watching the Olympics and, whatever else they were spoon feeding you. It wasn't going to be anything substantial. So we just thought we'd jump in there and give you a few things that went on. Maybe not your most favorite things, but you know how it is. We just like to keep you informed, let you see it through your view, through your lens, with the eyes that the good Lord Abba Father gave you, and see it from your point of view with your common sense. And then ask yourself those questions and come up with your own conclusions. Kingdom's within you. Seek first the kingdom. He gave you all you need. I love you. Abba Father loves you. But if he's not driving the bus in 2026, pull over, swap seats with him, because you fixing to get some potholes. They coming. Gonna shake your world. Miss old Grump, I'll see you on the next one, round about Wednesday. Love you.
Thank you for watching and make sure to follow.
So if you're feeling puzzled, if the world feels like a game, tune in to Grumpy's talk show and never be the same. The coffee's running out now, the show is at its end, but come back tomorrow morning, my skeptical friend. Yeah, Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show, that's the word.